Nearly 3 weeks since Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi sparked outrage across China, the backlash continues both diplomatically and in public discourse.
我觉得中国应该硬起来。
高市早苗到底是凭什么来干涉台湾的事情？
Is China's response an overreaction? And why is the government's reaction echoed so strongly by the Chinese public? To understand this, we need to put the dispute in perspective. Takaichi suggested that a so-called Taiwan contingency could constitute a survival-threatening situation for Japan. This term, drawn from Japan's already controversial 2015 security legislation, would allow its self-defense forces to be activated. For countries once invaded by Japan, this sounds chillingly familiar.
In 1931, Japan called whether it could seize Manchuria as survival-threatening and used that as a pretext to carry out the September 18th incident and invaded and occupied northeast China. Japan later claimed that to defend the Greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere was an existential battle for Japan, enlarging its war of aggression to the entire Asia. Whether to attack Pearl Harbor was also deemed as survival-threatening to Japan, which ignited the Pacific War.
The Chinese people fought Japanese aggression for 14 years, battling through atrocities that range from mass massacres to human experimentation and biological and chemical warfare, and finally won a victory that realized Taiwan's return to China. But now it seems that the former invader, who has never repented for its past crimes, is casually floating the idea of tearing China apart again. It's no surprise that Takaichi's remarks triggered widespread anger among the public.
As a defeated nation in World War II, Japan has absolutely no right to point fingers at our territory. And with this attitude of refusing to admit any wrongdoing, I think China's response is entirely reasonable.
Taiwan has always been part of China. Why is Japan getting involved in our own internal affairs?
Why does Japan think it has any say in matters between the two sides of the strait? Taiwan is not a Japanese colony, so who gives her the right to interfere, acting as if she has any authority over us?
From what I know, Takaichi has a very wrong understanding about Japan's wartime aggression against China. She really needs to look at the bigger picture of China-Japan relations and make the right decisions.
If she doesn't retract her remarks, I think China has to toughen up.
The impact of the backlash is beginning to show. After China issued a travel warning for Japan, Chinese tourists canceled nearly 500,000 tickets for Japan-bound travel in just 3 days. At least 12 cross-border air routes between China and Japan have called off all flights for this week. With China delaying the scheduled release of 2 Japanese films, another Japanese title already in theaters saw its viewership drop. The film Demon Slayer: Infinity Castle, which had made over $20 million on its peak day on the Chinese mainland, earned just 1/3 of that a week later. But these reactions reflect more than just public sentiment toward Takaichi. They signal China's firm opposition to a dangerous political trajectory. Japan today is edging toward a revival of militarism. In just 4 years, its defense budget increased from 5.4 trillion yen to 8.7 trillion yen. It loosened its arms export restrictions and has reportedly begun to export lethal weapons. Under Takaichi, Japan is even planning to revise its 3 non-nuclear principles. Against this backdrop, Takaichi's remarks raise a deeper concern. If a new prime minister can make such statements without consequences, what might happen next? Could Japan repeat the horrors of its past?
Such flagrant militaristic rhetoric blatantly interferes in China's internal affairs, seriously endangers peace across the Taiwan Strait and the region, and undermines the post-World War II order in Asia. She broke Japan's promise made upon its surrender in World War II and laid bare her political stance influenced by imperial and militaristic ideologies.
China's stance is unwavering. It will not allow past tragedies to happen again.
Should the Japanese side fail to draw lessons from history and dare to take a risk, or even use force to interfere in the Taiwan question, it will only suffer a crushing defeat against the steel-willed PLA and pay a heavy price.
By responding firmly, China is not only standing up for the China that suffered over 80 years ago, it's also defending the post-war international order and the peace that the world continues to rely on.